Have you ever wondered how you can make 2024 the best year yet so that when the calendar ticks over on December 31st, you can actually look back and say you've achieved something and that the year hasn't slipped by you? Well, if you're trying to get the most out of your year, we're going to have a look at some of the lessons that we can get from an operative stonemason. And we're going to look at these from the perspective of Freemasonry, because Freemasonry has evolved over the last several hundred years from these operative stonemasons into a more philosophical and self-development type of craft. And there is actually a lot that we can learn to ensure this year is a success.
The comments, opinions, and views shared during this program are of those individual Freemasons and do not reflect the official position of a Grand Lodge, concordant body, appendant body, Masonic Authority, or craftsmenonline.com.
Welcome to the Daily Masonic Progress Podcast with your host, Right Worshipful Brother Darren Allatt.
If you've been scrolling across TikTok or Instagram, you might have noticed there's this operative stonemason in his mid-20s by the name of Charlie G. And he makes online videos showing how he transforms shapeless masses into things of beauty. Charlie is extremely talented and highly skilled, and his work is nothing short of amazing. And what his online videos have done is gained hundreds of thousands and millions of views. And there is a lesson to be learned by watching his video. Even though there is no talking or instruction, it's just silence, and watching a master of his craft at work. And as people that are interested in improving our lives, we can actually distill some significant lessons from just observing what he is doing. And this is basically how all of the principles and lessons from Freemasonry came about. Our operative forefathers took their symbols, took their tools, and took all the things that go on inside of the operative world and took very significant philosophical lessons from all of those. And today I'm going to cover 5 lessons that we can learn from Charlie G just by watching a master at his work. Lesson number 1 is learn to master your craft. Now, picture this. If you're wanting to become a master in any field, and that can be anything from what you do at work, whether it's being a software engineer, being in sales, being a mechanic, it could be anything. It could even be a soccer referee, it could be a soccer player, you name it. But you pick anything that you want to be a master in, just like Charlie has mastered stonemasonry. It's not actually a title that you can earn overnight. It's a journey. And if you look at Charlie, he doesn't just wake up and suddenly he's a master stonemason. He invested a lot of time and effort consistently over the years. And that's the same for anyone who is a master in any field. Martial arts is also a great example where you can physically see the number of years that someone has spent learning and mastering their craft. And look, real mastery in any field is subtle. It's not about these flashy titles or even the external validation that comes from being a master. It's actually reflected in your actions, your dedication, and the quality of the work that you do. So if you're wanting to make 2024 successful, you need to focus on honing your skills and developing mastery in all of the things that you want to achieve. And mastery is a quiet journey of persistence and dedication. It's not a loud journey showing everything that you're doing along the way. The second lesson is about precision and planning. See, if you look at Charlie, every time he approaches a new piece of stone, he has a clear plan in his mind. He knows exactly what he wants to create from it. And in his videos, you'll notice there's no randomness in how he goes about his work. Everything he does is intentional. It's part of that bigger picture. So for us, it's a reminder that we need to plan and we need to have that bigger picture in our head before we start on a task. The other aspect is you do need to be precise in your goals and your intentions for the year. You see, random efforts lead nowhere, and it's those deliberate, well thought out plans that bring about real change, but also real success. Lesson number 3, small efforts are greater than big efforts. Watch Charlie's videos closely. he uses these small and precise hits of the gavel and the chisel. He doesn't rely on these big dramatic strikes to shape the stone. This is a crucial lesson. You see, in life, just like stone carving, it's the small consistent efforts that really count. Everyone is always looking for the next big thing or the one thing that is going to give you success. If only you had that one thing that made you an instant success overnight. And it's these silver bullets that can often lead us down the wrong path. Looking for the silver bullet in anything is not the way to achieve greatness, and it's not the way to achieve mastery. And you need to think that the real silver bullet is these 1%, because they add up and compound over time. Charlie can achieve so much more with 1,000 hits of the hammer and the chisel than he can with one single blow. And it just shows the important power that compounding and small consistent efforts have, because they add up over time. And when you make these small changes, these small improvements, these small efforts, they lead to significant achievements. Don't chase these grand gestures. Embrace the power of small and consistent actions. Lesson number 5, gradual and incremental work. Now, this is very similar to the previous lesson, but there is a distinct difference. You see, if you look at Charlie, his work is methodical. He doesn't carve aiming for the final outcome straight away, but he works layer by layer down. And this is a different lesson because we just spoke about small incremental steps, but you need to take those layer by layer. You see, if we look at something like building a house, well, you can lay brick by brick that goes out horizontally, but you also need to lay them layer by layer. You can't just build on top of each other immediately. You need to go and build out your layers before you go and add the next one on. This is what Charlie does, except he's removing stone in order to get down to that final layer. And what this does is it teaches us patience and also reinforces the value of incremental work. But it reminds us that it is not just about going deep into things and those small incremental taps. We need to go and lay those foundations. We need to go and take things layers by layers and put in those consistent efforts right across it. And what this really highlights is that progress is not just one-dimensional, but 3. So we also need to keep making that progress, no matter how small it may seem. And lesson number 5 is the right tool for the right job. Now, if you look at Charlie's videos, and I've watched a few of them, and they're absolutely mesmerizing. In his toolkit, you'll notice Charlie has a number of different gavels and chisels, and he uses each one for a specific part of the job. He knows that one specific tool is not going to fit every scenario. And similarly in life, we need different tools and skills for different challenges that we're faced with. You see, what works in one situation may not work in another. And we don't always need to use a hammer to drive in a screw. And this is also about adaptability and choosing the right approach for every unique challenge that we're faced with. So as we navigate through 2024, we need to remember to choose our tools wisely and effectively. And that's going to enable us to tackle the different aspects of our work. And whether that work is anything that we're working towards, whether it's a goal, whether it's our career, whether it's our families. So they're the 5 lessons that we can learn from Charlie. But you know what? There's actually a lot more lessons we can learn from Freemasonry, both of how to build a better life, which is symbolical of building the temple, but also how do we actually have a life that is meaningful, have a life that is purposeful, and have a life that is fulfilling. If you'd like to know more, well, this is Daily Masonic Progress, so please subscribe. There's also an email newsletter. Details are in the show notes or in the description. I'm Right Worshipful Brother Darren Allatt. So mote it be.
This has been the Daily Masonic Progress Podcast. If you've enjoyed this episode, make sure you follow us on Spotify or subscribe on Apple Podcasts. The Daily Masonic Progress Podcast is available on all streaming platforms with new episodes every week.